we do it? Can we do it again one more time? Oh, it's very strong. Not even
Lion.
Yes, lion.
Perfect. So hey, mommy and I are going to talk. You're gonna sit with us?
You want to stay with mommy and Auntie Val and talk? He climbed over the chair. I guess he's gone to do something else.
The option to stay. That's when they know. As long as you know, I would stay. I can stay if I want to stay.
You're gonna sit with mommy, or you gonna go on that side?
Side.
The side? Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right. So let's see what he'll allow us this morning.
Okay. Alrighty. That sounds like a plan.
All right. So you want to start up your? Oh no! You do it later. You said.
Yeah, I do it after.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll just show the card and then we'll say how to jump in.
So, okay, baby boy.
What are you doing? He's blowing smoke.
He came to blow out my candle.
I saw that little.
The flame.
Cake.
He said cake.
I see you. I see
My candle. Where's my cake?
Taurus season and indulgence coming up there.
Oh yes.
Happy birthday season coming soon.
Oh yes. Well, isn't it here already?
It's here
Today.
In Western. It's not there yet in Vegas.
Oh, in Western, but not in Vegas. True.
But still, they're happy. The whole season, whatever. I said because of COVID, everyone should be
all year long. Not a bad idea, honestly. I just sprinkle like half birthdays or other interesting commemorations just to spice it up, I guess.
Yeah, we spoke about that last time actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so mommy and Nana enjoy Tantrum, speaking about highlights of parenting and anything that has happened that's shareable in the last month. Oh, so today the card that I pulled, same from the card I had with Neil on the live, is practice. And it's actually the in line after taking time for training.
Yes.
So we've trained.
At you.
Trained.
Okay, slowly. You're sneezing.
You.
Yes. All right, baby boy. Mommy's gonna talk to Auntie Val now, okay? No, sorry, no, thank you. You want to sit by me, or you want to go and play on that side?
Same.
Play outside? Okay, you can play outside.
So muscular. Yeah, so after taking time for training, we have to practice. After we've done the training, then we have to put into practice what we've learned and recognize our natural aptitude, like what are we good at from what we've been trained in, and what takes more practice. And even though some things don't come naturally, you still have to give it and practice. So just that kind of idea. And I'll read the last line of it. Says, and keep practicing.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me try to give him like one activity that'll keep him for a little while, and then I'll be back.
Sure.
Come, baby. Let's go now. So he should a song about animal sounds.
Yeah. Did you hear anything that I said, or should I start again?
No, I think I heard up until the when you got to the last point was the last thing that I heard.
Okay, so
I
that's
didn't hear the last point. Yeah.
the last point. Okay, so it just says keep solving problems together and keep practicing together. So just the idea of practicing solving things together, and that gives way for allowing our own responses to life. It strengthens our ability to respond to pressures and pleasures and life experience. It helps us experience ourselves and makes us face the impact of being ourselves, and practicing being aware of that and celebrating that individually and as a unit. So that's that. How's it been?
Can you say that again?
I said, so how's it been?
It's been good, full of opportunities for practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you can see. um, but yeah, I actually like that you said, opportunities to work together to solve problems.
Yeah.
Because this morning in particular,
screen is like it's cutting you off.
It's too low. Okay. All right. Let's hope it stays that way this time. So this morning was a little bit hectic for me. And I asked Kevin to come and stay with Soleil, especially for this part.
Yeah.
The other parts of my morning I could kind of navigate with him being there, but I noticed this morning how much better I've gotten at navigating that part in particular, because there was a point in time where if Soleil was awake and he was at home with me, that I could not write.
Right.
And the way my schedule is set up, most of my writing, I try to do it when he's not home sometimes, or if he's asleep, but he woke up very early this morning and I had to write an article on something that was not planned in advance. It was like a new development, a hot topic that just like a document leaked yesterday and they wanted me to write on that.
Right.
So I had to write it this morning because that's just the time of day that I focus better in the morning. Yeah, so they also decided to wake up early this morning. So I really had to practice focusing when he was there. And there were a lot of times where I had to tell him, I'm going to go into another room, because he would give me a few minutes and then come and look for me in whichever room where I am. So I'll give him a little bit of attention at that point and tell him, okay, I'm going to go in another room because I'm still doing work. And yeah, I had to do that a few times, but it worked. I got through reading an entire 81-page document and writing an article on it.
Oh my goodness. Well, your practice of your reading skills has definitely paid off. Literally.
Oh yeah.
Paid off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love that. And go you, and I love the integration of the card into what's literally happening in real time today. And also the practice of I think time, taking time for training and honoring the time that things take, which we've spoken about specifically during COVID, with the idea that people rushing to do something and not realizing, like, look, listen, we have the time on our hands now for a reason. Like, appreciate the time that living more ecologically takes to develop. We have time on our hands with family that we probably don't want to be around. And how can we practice making best use of that time, since we've been all forced to be quarantined with whoever we were with? So it's just really interesting to see, like, even now taking that into us, like we're on Soleil's time, and we're seeing, like, okay, well, let's see how long he'll give us, and let's commit to us and have a catch up. Let's have a conversation. Let's see how far we get. And let's practice the power of commitment, practice the power of connection, and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, for me, it's really just been a matter of doing whatever works best in each moment.
Yeah.
And taking time to note afterwards what the choice was, so that I know, like I can use that intel in, like, coming situations and so on. And every situation presents a new challenge. But that's, new intel. And being able to do that this morning with the article really was like a big thing for me, because I had a hard time summarizing 2 pages sometimes if Soleil was there. And I realized that there were a lot of things that I learned along the way. Well, we learned with each other, because it's, both him and myself learning from the way that we interact. And we've just developed, I guess, new ways of dealing with things like clinginess on both our ends, or I guess adjusting how we connect, how often, when, etc. How I communicate that I need time and things like that. I noticed, working better with him. And there was something else. Yeah, just, I think in general, the way that we connect, even I think in the past 3 weeks, definitely in the past month, Soleil has weaned himself. So that's been really, really, really new for me. I think now I've finally accepted that, okay, he's not going to drink it anymore. But he was kind of sort of still drinking it, but yeah, not now.
I can't wait for us to watch this one over in a year from now. For you to just be like, oh my gosh, remember that?
Yeah.
Mommy.
Oh, yeah. And I had a nice catch up with a friend of mine who, when she told me that story about when her son weaned, like the first time she realized, she offered him the breast and he was like, no, thank you. So she told me that whole story again this week when we were catching up. It was funny to share my vision this time.
I love the practice of intimacy, the practice of communication, and the practice of awareness of communication in mother and son, between mother and child. That you are aware, and by that awareness, allowing him that awareness of responsibility and our ability to respond to each other when we're asking for connection and attention and closeness, and when we're asking for individuation and our own time and solitude and own space. The practicing of consent at this early stage, learning the communication of consent at this early stage. Like, mommy needs this right now. Can we do this? Let's do this together. What would you like to do? These subtle practices in our word sound, in our consideration, in our nonverbal, in the waiting for a response, in the observation of response. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. There was one other thing that I noticed with me. It was something that we've spoken about on one of the previous conversations. I remember you mentioning something to me about my vibe when I'm asking him, like the energy, the way that I feel when I'm asking him. And I noticed that there were a lot of times that I was asking him for space and time, or even Kevin, where I felt like I didn't really deserve the time. So I was insecure in the way that I was asking, and I was expecting some kind of resistance or backlash, especially with Soleil. But noticing that when I feel a little bit more relaxed asking, he responds a lot more differently. When I feel a lot more secure in asking him for space, he will freak out less. He will just, give me some space and then eventually come and look for me, but not really push when I'm asking.
Yeah. You're falling again. Do you have a book or something that you want to go get? You want to go get something to prop it up?
Um, let me ask Kevin if he can help me with it, because 1 second.
Okay. What were we saying? Yeah, just yes, you were saying about the practicing before the verbal expression for the energetic expression, and as requesting your needs and your all you require and desire from a place of comfort, and,
Yeah.
witnessing the shift in that, and that takes a self practice. It takes a self practice of awareness to know that, okay, I really need this time. And also, if I'm teaching him to be the ultimate human he can be, and I'm modeling that behavior, then I want him to know that as he grows, he also wants to feel comfortable about needing time for himself. But if I teach him time for himself is coupled with the emotion and vibration of insecurity and fear and defensiveness and rejection and abandonment and whatever other small feelings or negative, hurtful feelings that it can be compounded with, then that creates a composition, a currency, a constitution, that just leaves us feeling ew. It's like you can't put your finger on it, but there is something so uncomfortable. And that breeds a lot of anxiety in our nerve system. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stressful for me, honestly, when I feel that I think sometimes like I create this thing in my mind where I'm more needed than I really am, or in a different way. I think like, what is required of me is not what I perceive as being required of me. So I overdo, or I overestimate like how much I really need to personally handle myself.
Yes. I just want to say that before I jump into how much I love that, I really appreciate the cadence and temperance of today's conversation. Like, I just, like, usually we're like flying off the handles and like so excited. And I just feel very torn. Like, I just feel like we're very like in the earth and feeling, like our roots have just like gone into the earth, and we're just like, so what do we really feel? And like it's this like natural high frostness of like, yeah, mm, yes, that. So that's how I feel about what you just said. And
That's
and to go a little, just to give it some more, I want to say specifically that that's a big thing with practicing joyful boundaries, is something I speak of a lot in Sacred Dialogue. Knowing that boundaries can be comfortable and ecstatic and wonderful, and not forcing ourselves to overgive and then break our own consent in overgiving, and train people to expect us to always do something that we know we cannot maintain, or that we find out we cannot maintain. Because you might want to do it, you might like to do it, but then we're going through seasons internally and externally. We're going through lunar phases internally and externally, and then things change. And you want to be able to breathe into that and share consensually, self to self, capital S, in that way. So, in that rhythmic way. So, I really appreciate you acknowledging and giving yourself that adoration appraisal. Yes.
Now that you've said that, there's something that came to me that I really feel like I need to apply it to, but I need to just tell Kevin really quickly. I have something in the oven that I did not tell him about when he came in. Yeah. Okay.
And this is what
Yeah.
this is what this is like. We, you know, when I asked you to do this, we know that you have a baby. We knew that we would only get like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes we got a half hour, but it's like allowing ourselves to know that we appreciate and deserve a bit of a catch up to ask how you're really doing, what you really can share, and that life is happening while it's happening, and you're in that epicenter pulsating. And it's like, okay, let me delegate, let me use my network and my team, let me see if he can help me with this thing I forgot that I had in the oven. And these little things, you know, like other mothers would be like, I can't because I have him screaming and I have the thing in the oven and I don't have time to tantrum and also express the wonderful things that I'm experiencing and noticing about motherhood and myself as a woman and a person. So I really appreciate, like, I feel like this one is testament to the life.
Yeah. So what it is, like everything all the time. I mean, it's just variations of this. The article this morning,
Yeah.
every day, every week, things changing. But I really love that you made note earlier of how sometimes we commit to things and things change. We really want to show up in a certain way and we commit to it, but life happens, things change, and it's not sustainable anymore. And you have to either make an adjustment or just start over.
Yeah. And to enjoy and know the power of it. It's you that's starting over. It's you that's doing it. So I mean, you ever seen me start over before? Like, you want to see this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You want to see me rise, you want to see me fall, you want to see me hit a rock bottom, you want to see me bounce back, you want to see me climb up, you want to see me be still and know that I am all. Like, you want to see this.
And every time you start over, I don't know, it's so exhilarating for me when things change. Like, you know, when you settle into a new change or you're exposed to the new change, sometimes you don't even realize how stale things were. Like, in the way that you were doing it just because that's what you've always done.
Girl, so let's
Like,
just, I'm gonna so let's just bring it into sex because okay.
yeah.
So
Of course.
I was just like, when I said it, while you before you said all of that, like, and while you're like, each time you say it, it's just getting bigger and bigger inside of me, right? I'm just like getting bigger and bigger inside of me. I'm just like, yo, like the sensual power of starting over, of, you know, kiss it there again, do that again, like the pace, the rise and fall, the sustaining of the connection, the pressure, the touch, not touch, and then okay, let's circle around again, start again, like, and bringing that through life force, through creativity, through expression, through boundaries of where things start and where things end, and coming to the end and starting again. I was just like, Taurus, what?
And pulling out and starting again.
I was like, okay, I can feel this.
But yeah, sometimes you just need to pull out, start again, and start fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and touching life that way, touching, connecting to the way we share sensually. Feel for it, feel through it, feel your way through it. Trust when you like today, I got this phenomenal idea for a linkage with friends in Denry and Grosley, and like I just got this like huge conglomerate like idea, and I was like, yo, I have to set up a meeting with everybody. Like, this is a great idea. And I was like, oh, my passion. And I was like, then I started getting a little anxiety about it because I was like, I don't really know how one person would feel about the connection and about this. I was starting to feel through everybody. And I was like, okay, just don't tell them yet. Feel it through. I go online and I see that two people like in the network that I was thinking of like had just liked my picture. And I was like, okay, so they're feeling me. And I'm just putting it out there and I'm just going to allow it to sit in it, hone it, pulsate on it, give life to it, honor the fact that I feel anxiety about it, and just be like, okay, well, I'm feeling anxiety about it because I'm right. I have insight. This person would probably not integrate immediately and need some vibrational nurturing and cuddling and holding and honing of that energy of, you deserve this kind of connection and that this is possible, and so it's fresh this morning, and I said my cycle is 3 days. I usually give things 72 hours. I I usually give it 72 hours or 7 years.
I love that you said that.
so so I was like, okay, I'll see how I feel in 72 hours. Then I'll skip it to like 3 months, 9 months, 6 months, 9 months, and then if not, I'll see how I feel in 7 years. But either way, things taking the time they take and knowing that it's worth that practice. It's worth however long it takes to do it right. Don't you want to do it right? Don't you want to do me right? Because I want to do you, and I do me right, and I know I do you right. So let's not.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. I love that you said 7 years, because you were talking about your cycle. I didn't know how long you were talking about, but in my mind, I'm thinking years, because I'm really beginning to notice cycles in my life. That what really stood out for me this week is yesterday I looked at my old passport and was just like backtracking to special days, like special occasions in my life. And I realized that yesterday was actually exactly 8 years since I saw this really close friend of mine. And we had reconnected months and months ago, but it's like we reconnected and we would get very close very quickly, but I would get overwhelmed and I would pull away. And I just always felt like not the right time, until maybe a few days ago, where I was just like, you know what, Zan, give it some time. And then realizing that that was like the 8-year anniversary was a big deal for me. So when you were talking, I was thinking yes, and then you said 72 hours. I'm like, wow, that's fast. And then you said 7 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, for that it was 8 years. I don't know for everything. Like, I'm just beginning to notice different patterns in my life now that I'm about to turn 31. So now I have
one once.
I have a lot more intel. Like, I have almost 31 years of research to go back on. Yeah.
So I want to extract out of that, going backwards, I want to extract very swiftly sacred dialogue wise. Sacred dialogue wise as in the way of sacred dialogue, and sacred dialogue wise as in 31 years of your internal sacred dialogue way. And the wisdom that you would have cultivated. So sacred dialogue wise, all that research, so searching and searching again, which is practice, right? Going over and going over again. It's not like, oh, but I've already in the sensual expression, I've already kissed you there. Yeah, kiss me there again. Go around again. Like, what are you doing? Search and research my areas. Like, do it again. And so how we do that with ourselves and each other, with our life, with our parenting, our nurturing, things we care about, and finding new ways to pay attention to our cycles, and the fact that we have concurrent cycles, con meaning with current, currency, electromagnetics, power, energy, transferring, conduiting, right? So when we have sun and moon cycles happening at the same time. We have different periodic cycles. We have the simplicity of the seconds it takes to exhale and inhale just to have life, and the simplicity of light and dark in a day, and then meal times and digestion times, and there's so many concurrent cycles. So that's like daily breath through breath ones. And then you have your VAP, inspiration, inclinations, something telling me that patterns of, that's the third time I'm seeing that, that's the sixth time I'm seeing that. Why you say that? Why you say that like that right now? Like, no, just because I was just reading that earlier, like all these, right? And it can become you can become hypersensitive to it depending on your own sensitivities, and hypersensitive in a positive way, not only in a way that's overwhelming. Hyper meaning highly accelerated, and sensitive meaning acute, right? So there are all of these things happening. And so actually on the live, the live, you missed the live, the last live. But anyway, we actually spoke about this as well a little bit on the live, where I was saying that in Sacred Dialogue, I speak of every 9 months and every 7 years, encouraging clients and kin to be aware of their life pattern cycles and with different kinds of relationship dynamics. And so Neil had something that just cultivated after 6 years. And I had told him just before he said that, I was like, let's look to nature for for our basic patterns. That people say, oh, like it's been so long, and it's like, how long has it been? Has it been 9 months yet? No. Okay, well then, just for a human to form, to come into form, it takes 9 months for that gestation. We're constantly learning the gestational periods of each goal, each relationship, each dynamic, each power dynamic, internally and externally. You think it'll take this time? Find out, love it enough to breathe love into it, and find out how long it will take. So give it at least 9 months to 7 years, because although 7 years happens to also be a personal thing for me, because we each have different year periods that we have things that happen in, and month periods and time periods and moment as well. 7 years developmentally, because we're talking about parenting, 7 years is the developmental period of a child. So like when you look at divorces and stuff like that in psychology, there's always like the 7 year period, 5 year and 7 year periods that you look at as well, because a lot of relationships fully break after 5 to 7 years. You ask people who've been together for how long, and they say that they knew in the 5th to 7th year, like 5 plus or minus 2, that it wasn't going to work out, or the reason that they're leaving happened in the 5 to 7 year mark, because it curated and was formed and cultivated and cured as a relationship, because that's the developmental lifespan of a child, psychological, biological, developmental. So these basic things just show you, of course, everybody that's very standard, very generalized, and there are children who are so much more advanced at 5 and 7, but take it in that way, take it how you will to take it, will yourself to take it, in that there are relationships that will have 9 years, 8 years, 10 years. And look when you look back at decades, like we're so commercialized to look at things as decades, right? But it's not really a long time. It's too long if you're in a horrible relationship, and it's 0 time if you are out there. Like, I feel like we could have this conversation for 10 years and we would be like, oh, okay. Is it been 10 years?
I know, right? That's so interesting. As a teenager, all my relationships, because to be fair, I wasn't really allowed to have boyfriends, but I just, would date anyway. And they all lasted exactly 3 months. Every single time, 3 months. And then I would just get so sick of the guy. I would be like, oh my goodness, like I really cannot do this anymore. And just, exit or sabotage or something. But I noticed that it was 3 months. I mean, obviously that's changed a bit now for me, but I noticed I made specific mention of it back then.
I actually, so I always meet someone in September. Like if I'm going to be meeting someone who sets me on fire, I was like, oh my God, I like somebody. And it's like, oh, it's September. Like, oh, okay. Duh. Do you like somebody yet? That was not September.
Oh my goodness. So it's so funny. The person that I was talking to you about earlier that I said, this September will be 10 years since we first met, right? And it's always been like a thing for me. I remembered the date that we first met. But last year, he sent me a screenshot of the first time we spoke, which was like 2 days prior, but like texting. And that date has just been coming up for me everywhere. I was doing some reading on Josephine Baker, who's just like, one of my, I really love her. And the date of her death was last week, Monday, the 12th.
I did notice a lot about her online, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just reading about her online, not, since the date was looming, I started reading about her online.
Yeah.
And just reminding myself. And then the date that we first texted came up as like her wedding day to her second husband. She got married like 4 times, which I think is so cool. But she kept the last name of the second husband. Well, she started early. Her first marriage was at like 13 and the second one at 15. And then she took a long break from getting married for a while. But yeah, she kept the last name of the second husband who she got married to that September.
Yeah. Hi, September. We see you the 9th month, 9 coming up. 9 in numerology being the number of release and resolve. So there's all of, there all the road signs out there if you want to lick them. Because that's what we walk around licking road signs. Like, thank you, God. You giving me a road sign.
We want to digest what the road sign is really saying,
Get those enzymes over it. Sink it, swallow. Yeah, I love this. And so I think that the acknowledgement, the pleasurable practice, the passionate, pleasurable practice, is very important. It is something that of course in Sacred Dialogue, it's a popular fun homework for clients who are going through anxiety and sort of hate waking up. And I infuse that concept into the dynamic of, can you think of pleasurable practices for waking up? Can we start implementing pleasurable practices, like when you wake up, feel the bed, touch it, touch the sheets, tuck yourself, wake yourself up, rub hold yourself and wake up, baby, wake up, kiss yourself, make that connection. And there's a power in the stretching of the lip and breathing and kissing yourself. If you do that at least maybe 9 times and trying to breathe, you end up it will evoke a sigh. And you know how sometimes your body's longing for a baby orgasm, just to take that weight off. So just going like that, not even sensually erotically, as you can see, exactly as I just did, just
9 times.
The physiological practice of doing it can evoke that. So something as simple as that, to drinking water and swallowing it, tasting the water, touching the cup, making it a fun cup. Like when you go to the bathroom, even if you have to wake up the bed and run to the bathroom, go back to the bed and then wake up again, then start the day. And then also start the day as many times as you need. If you're just like, you know what, I can't today, like go back to the bed and then wake up again, go back to the bed, lie down and get up again. Of course, you would appreciate cup's position and the yoga break. Like get down on the floor and just lie there for at least 9 seconds or 9 breaths, and then stand up again and just get into the practice of rising from the ground, and that does something so gently, psychologically nurturing for our mind and our minding of ourselves and our states and our estate, as in energetic state of being. This is our place of ownership, land, earth properties, property, belonging, physical. There's no place like home. It's so all of that. I encourage that. And of course, I'm saying that to you. What I'm saying to you is a lot of it is reminders, because you are a very sensual, pleasurable being, which of course I give thanks for. But I'm saying it, of course, for anybody else who's listening, and for myself. Sometimes it's good to, because of things I'm going through lately, I've been having to do my there's no place like home, there's no place like home practice, and home, HAUM, home, self. So yeah. We have 10-15 minutes, highlights, feedback.
Lots of highlights too. Everything you just said, but a few things that stuck out to me when you said making it a special cup in the morning.
Yeah.
I remember as a child having that this one cup that I needed to drink from every single morning. I called it, it had Santa Claus on it, and I called it my Christmas cup. Like I just decided that nobody was allowed to drink from it for breakfast but me. And I love the suggestions for, the kissing in the morning, and that you said that it invokes a sigh, and you need that light, that sigh orgasm. And noticing within myself where, when you don't sigh for so long, and then there's just this buildup that you feel, and then you don't need a sighing orgasm, you need a screaming orgasm. Yeah, I had a moment last week where to be honest, I've cried a lot, over the past year. I've had my moments to cry and everything, but I just always felt the alleviation of the heaviness that I felt was never enough.
Yeah.
And last week I had a moment where I was in a heated conversation, and when I got off, I hung up the phone and I just screamed in my room. And to be honest with you, I felt like everything that I could not take care of with the tears was taken care of when I screamed. Like that moment when I screamed, I felt so much better after I screamed. So much better. And circumstantially, nothing changed, but the way I felt about everything was just so much lighter after I screamed.
Yeah. I'm so thankful that you said that. And so have you ever been to one of the Sacred Dialogue group sessions where we scream? Have you ever?
No.
Okay, so but I actually would do that. We would take people to the East Coast, also to the fort. So if you're at home, I promise you, if you go scream there, no one will hear you. Fortunately, unfortunately.
On the fort?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I have a friend who works very near there, and she was having this horrible, moment, and she was just like, I'm feeling something. I'm like, let's go to the fort. And we went there and I was like, let's scream. We're gonna scream. And we screamed and screamed and screamed until she broke her cry. We just kept screaming until it finally came up. And when you scream, right, always practice being in touch with the body and the physiological intelligence and communication, the somatics. So when you scream, You're like, just like kind of scream, just do it, like, just do it. So like, what do you feel? You feel your stomach from your womb, from your center, from your core contract, male or female. They don't have womb.
Yeah.
From that, from their muscle, from your center, you feel
Yeah.
it contract. You feel it in your stomach. Everything opens up. Your throat, voice box expression. You even feel it sometimes in your head will might even hit your crown because it will burst, and it's that full expression, right? For all the stuff that you have pent up, all this atlas world you're carrying on your shoulder, right? You scream. It's so therapeutic. Places to scream that are safe if you are in a city and you're not on an island. If you have a tub, fill it up. Fill up the tub with water. Go into the water and scream. No one will hear you. Pillows do work depending on how loud you're gonna get. Um, a car. If you have a friend who has a car, ask them to sit in the car, scream. Nobody will hear you. If you have your own car and you can go for a drive, ultimate. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've driven to well, anywhere. I do whatever, down the coast for fun, but not even just to one of my favorite spots is the Moon in Cap, and just go there
Yeah.
and scream. But outside as well, if you have a garage, nobody will hear you. Go in the car, scream. um so there are many others, and if anybody needs, definitely DM me if none of these places work for you. I actually have a list that I just cultivated for a client, so I don't remember everything right now, but if somebody needs it, I will go search it. But yeah, I've been actually cultivating that for a male client lately. So, and I think it's so important. I was so proud of him for asking. um and I think one of the easiest ones is the tub, if you have a tub. And I said, like, the pillow does work. But I think even more, just very, very subtly from a sacred dialogue space, admit that you are not, admit to your body that you are not in a safe space where you can cry and scream as you'd like. Like this morning, I was going through something, and I was so highly triggered by a show that I was watching yesterday, and it was good for me because it was able to like bring up some heavy things, and I was so thankful for the end. There was so much relief at the end of the show because the person got what I was hoping that they would get, and the relief came. And I was so validated by how it went. So I woke up this morning and talking to myself and feeling through like spaces where I was vicariously living out that visceral experience of what the person was going through on the show. And I woke up and I was talking about it, and I started crying, and it was like a big loud, like, you lose your mommy cry, like like just loud. And I was just so thankful that I am in a safe space where I can cry. Now the thing for me is, because I've been practicing this for so long, I am always in a safe space where I can cry now. And I've been for a long time, because I would annoy people around me when I would cry whenever I feel, and people would be disgusted with it. But I'm not keeping that in, because I am volatile when I'm angry and I'm hurt, and so it's better for me to write, cry, scream, sing, dance, sweat, like, all of the different many forms of expression, silence, depending on whatever consensually is good for the body. But it's so validating to tell yourself that you are aware, you acknowledge it's not safe to cry here, that I'm not in a space where people would understand if I cry the way I really need to cry right now. And just knowing that you deserve it, and you don't have it, and not keeping it in like something is wrong with you that you're not crying, or that it's not that serious, you don't have to cry, but rather that it's not safe. Because if you were in your own hotel room, if you were on a isolated beach somewhere, you'd allow yourself to just buckle down, knees to the floor, and hold the earth and just like wail, and to allow yourself the intimacy of that. Because I started like smiling in my cry, like it became like this orgasmic cry. Like I was just like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I can like let this out, and I'm so thankful for this relief. Like I could clearly, as you can see, I could go on. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've actually had one experience of like hiking along the East Coast beaches, like on the rocks. And I got to a point where I just started screaming for fun, and it felt really good. And the sea just like drowns it. I feel like I'm just screaming out like into the Atlantic Ocean.
And of course, if
It's
you
so
don't have
siren-y.
that's another, absolutely. And I didn't say it because that's another obvious one that I've done 1,000 times, is to go underwater at the beach and cry, or in a pool if you have access. So I know COVID, blah 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 blah. So it's like if you have a home tub, but if you are on the island and if you are home, definitely go to the beach, submerge yourself, and let it out. Like speak to the core of the earth, let it out into the ocean, like reverberate the tsunami that you are holding inside of you. Let it out. Allow that eruption, because Mother Nature is showing us. I said Mother Nature. I love that. Mother Nature is showing us.
Mother Nature.
He's showing us how it's done. The first one is done for you. Let it out. Erupt.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere. It's gonna come out somewhere.
Oh yeah. And it
Don't let it
definitely.
out. Let it be orgasmic. I mean, don't hold that. Don't hold that in. Let it flow. Let it come through you. And come through yourself and
Yeah.
become who you are in this moment, in this season of your life.
Mm-hmm. That takes a lot of courage
Yeah.
to do that. And I guess I've been really training my courageous muscles lately. But I wanted to note that I really loved something that you said, where you mentioned that when you're angry, you can be volatile. So you prefer you've chosen to write or to cry so you have like your arsenal ready for when you feel that way, and it's interesting. I had stopped walking around with my journal for a long time. That's something that I used to always have. But once Soleil was born, it was always a battle between him and my journals, because he would just rip them apart. That stopped now, finally. So for the first time, I left with it last week. That was on Sunday. Yeah, I left with it on Sunday for the first time since maybe he was 7 or 8 months old. I stopped taking it because he was just ripping it to shreds, writing on all the pages. And yeah, that had just changed for a while.
Welcome home and round again to this new season, this, spiraling up and around again. Like I'm back writing again. And that time.
And not breastfeeding.
Like I cannot wait for the any anniversary of watching this again. Like when it'll be a year to date of watching this. Like this, I love today so much. Today is so great. Of course we always are, but there's something so wonderful each time, and something so sensually sentient in the feeling of it. Like I can just, I'm highly turned on. Thank you.
Yeah. You look very special occasion. You showed up like you knew it was a special occasion.
That's so funny because, like I just said, I was having such a horrible morning, and then that's the paradox, because I let it out, so I'm shining. I went through the rough, and I'm shining like a diamond in the rough. Like that's the magic of it. So thank you. And because I actually was thinking, like, should I cancel? Like I was like, no, like you can be low if you're feeling low, and I started off where I was feeling low, and I'm still feeling a little, but then there's still everything. I feel everything, and it's a safe place to feel everything, and it's amplifying
Yeah.
who we are. So that's important. And I'll say just before we end that courage, when you break it down, is courage. So courage in care as in heart in French, because I know you love, and rage as in passion, if you look up the etymology. So when you're talking about the orgasmic pulsation of your heart center, right, and practicing expanding your courage muscles, and take it from your yoni, and every time something comes up, it's you standing in your power, and you're like, oh, you wanna fuck with me? Okay. Like, you want to see my power? Okay. All right, cool. And like, not in any kind of crazy way. Like, it's like, I'm gonna show you that I can love through this. Right? I'm gonna show you what a passionate heart responsibility is to the situation. We're good. We're good.
So true. So true. This podcast has been my practice at showing up, because I've been, making attempts to do more episodes. Last year when I started, I had no plan. Like I just was sitting in bed one afternoon. I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start a podcast. And I just started a podcast, and I had no idea what I was gonna do with it or anything. But I just kept, whenever the VAP took me, I would just make an episode, just do one about whatever was relevant at the time. And 0117 and just showing up, and just keeping at it. Like, I've learned through doing it what I want to do with it. I didn't have a plan for it. The plan was developed through doing it.
And that's the practice of unity. The highest for us, happy 420, by the way, highest practice, the natural high, right? The of course, anything else can amplify and assist your own power to alter your own mind and space, and that's extra. But we're walking with that. We're walking as natural mystics, always fast, always high. We're the highest priestesses. So allowing yourself to just feel your way through, feel for
highest priestesses. I love that.
Feel your way through for it, and whatever you feel and you're feeling for is what will come into form. What will come: realization, acquisition of all you require, and desire of all you've already acquired through insight and inclination. So you get a small VAP, like, I wonder if I could get that. Like, that's the first. You acquired it in essence. You acquired in essence that you require and desire it. And the more you feel your way into being comfortable in the admission, that's how you pay for life. The cost of life is just admitting it. Just admit it and emit it in that orgasmic way. Just emit it. Yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want you. Yeah, I want it. Yes, I have it. Yes, I am it. Yes, we are. Put all of the whatever. Put it all into the hot, wet cauldron. Mix it up and wine. Be skanking.
Admitting is another thing that takes courage.
Yeah.
And I think how we feel about admitting is also really important, because there are times when you realize something, you admit it, but how do I feel about this admission? Is it a happy admission, a sigh of relief, or is it something that I'm admitting shamefully, or.
And that's where the sacred dialogue comes in. Admit it first to you in a very honest, just Supreme Court way. Like, admit it. And Lady Saw gave it to us way back. Admit it.
Oh my goodness, I have a meme to send you as soon as we get off this call. So it's a meme I came across on Twitter, and I shared it last night. I think that was the last thing I shared last night or the night before. It's the meme of Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory, where there's a picture on the wall where he says, "I've failed you." And the picture on the wall was Lady Saw. Because I've I have been listening to
this week. I used the meme with him this week when he goes, "At last and finally I am created." It was one of these. I can't remember what it was, but I used it this week. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and it was him and Lady Saw. And I actually downloaded a whole bunch of music of her songs on my Apple Music recently and was just listening to it one night and listening to some of the lyrics and saying, I have not lived up to this. This is the music I grew up on.
We have work to do, ladies. Okay, ladies,
I need to get to work. Yeah, get information. So when I saw that meme saying
information and get in with the insight and the wisdom of these 31 years, admit it. You have to do what you have to do. You know what you have to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me get information for real. And that's one of my favorite Beyonce songs too.
Yeah. Okay. We did it.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to this later.
Me too. I'll be smiling so much. I'll be like, oh, we rock.
Oh my God.
We mountain. We move. We cosmos.
I don't think I've stopped smiling since Friday.
I love that. I love that. Right, well, you are charged with the task to enjoy the freak, as in frequency, out of this Taurus season. And the fact that it's elongated, Western and Vedic. So take it for all it is worth. So what I did there.
Mm-hmm. And I can take all of it.
No. It wouldn't be a Siren podcast if we didn't allow ourselves all of that. So allow yourself that pleasurable practice. And I'll put the links to the cards in the bottom when I post it on my page. And
yeah.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.